Call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Shalom to my hopefully like elder brother over here in my congregation, Shariat. Shalom to all the hopefully like elders out there of the Israelite nation who rule well, namely the hopefully like elder apostles over at the Great Millstone Church. As always, peace and many blessings be to all you hopefully like men out there of the Israelite nation who are diligently bringing forth the true doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Also, namely, the hopefully like brothers that I personally labor with. And likewise, peace and many blessings be as well to all you true believers out there, all the rest of the 1/3. All right, so for this lesson, we'll kick it off here. Revelation 18:3. It says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And that's the point right there. All the nations are drunk upon the wrath of the wine of the so-called white man. And more specifically, the wine of this place called America. The wine is a representation of the philosophies, the ways of life that are promoted from this place upon the whole earth, that is ultimately being perpetuated as we see throughout the earth. So the whole earth, as of now, in reality, is in the spirit of the so-called white man, and this has been perpetuated amongst the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel being you so-called black people, the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native American and Seminole Indian people who are scattered amongst the earth, who are in fact God's chosen people. God's chosen people, ultimately the elect of his chosen people. We'll just get it here in the book of Micah 2:10. We've been warned to arise ye and depart. Again, talking to the nation of Israel, ultimately the elect, the 1/3, those who are written to receive this word when they hear it, understand the doctrine, and come back, to who they truly are, which are the Israelites, God's chosen people. Arise ye and depart. Completely depart from this place, detach. It says, "For this is not your rest." We are currently not in our rest. This isn't our place of rest. We are in the place of our captivity. We have faced heavy bondage. We are under the foot of our oppressors. And as long as we stay in the mindset, we stay drinking the cup of our enemies, we're going to stay in the position and condition that we are in. And upon actually forsaking the world, leaving our hopes, dreams, so-called things we had aspirations for in the world, it coming to this truth is made completely clear and manifest that, we were moving in the wrong direction. We were never going to achieve anything in that state of mind. And that's what must be understood, as far as moving forth in this truth. It's detrimental for you to put that cup down and to depart from this place. It says because it is polluted. The thoughts that you get from the world, the thoughts that were given to you, the philosophies, the history you were taught, the ways to go, so on and so forth. Everything about this world that is governed so currently by the so-called white man, who is in fact Esau or Edom according to the scriptures, it's pollution and it's going to destroy you. It says because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. So upon coming to the truth, that's what we're evading the sword destruction that is to come. Let's get into this. We go into the book of Matthew, chapter 18, and verse 3. It reads and said, note red letters, implying Yahweh Shai is speaking. Yahweh Shai being who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. It says, "Verily I say unto you." And when Yahweh Shai came, he came speaking to his people, who are Israelites. Again, you so-called black people. It says, "Except ye be converted." And the conversion is a complete change. It says, "And become as little children," because this is our instruction. We have to become as little children in mind, as far as our understanding of being rebuilt. I'm going to continue reading. It says, "To become as little children," it says, "Ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven." So simply put, us becoming as little children is us completely clearing our minds and restarting from a point of being able to learn again, to completely restart. It's not to be a man and to act like a child again, remain a man and take on the tendencies of a child, the tendencies of being willing to hear, willing to question, willing to receive, and actually be brought up within what's actually need be. Because ultimately we're trying to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's why we forsake this world, because we know it's a world to come that is going to be so much better. We're seeking a kingdom that's unseen right now, things unseen. And to acquire these things, we have to rely on a new way of thinking and a new way of seeing. Therefore, we have to become his children and be brought up in a righteous way. And we know how to be brought up because it's according to the true doctrine of the Bible and understanding that. That's the way that we are to go. These are the new things that are going to replace all of our old ways, thus us being like children and being brought up in truth. So we have to become a new being. So come to our next scripture, Matthew chapter 9 and the 16th verse. It says, "No man putteth a piece of new cloth unto an old garment," which is completely correct. A new piece of cloth compared to an old garment, as we should understand that an old piece of garment should be deteriorating, it's old, and a new piece of garment or fabric is going to be contrary to that old piece of garment. They're not going to work. They're not going to they're going to clash. You can't you can't dispute between your old man, your old thoughts, and this truth. They're completely contrary to each other. They don't mix. As the scripture says, can two walk together except they be agreed? So once again, no man putteth a piece of new cloth unto a old garment. For that which is put in to fill it up, take it from the garment. And the rent is made worse, because that's the only condition, because those two pieces aren't meant to be together. They can't walk together, so they disagree. Thus, the situation is worse. Verse 17 says, "Neither do men put new wine into old bottles." Right. And ultimately here we're talking of wine skins. We're not talking about, modern bottles of wine, which are glass. We're talking about wine skins, which were made of a certain material. And once they were used, they become, less able to keep or hold that wine that was within them. So putting new wine into an old wineskin is a possibility for it to be a waste, meaning it may leak because that old wineskin is used up already. Therefore, once again, becoming new, just like becoming a new child, being converted, you need new wineskins. You need a new bottle. It says, "Else the bottles break and the wine runneth out." So it'll be a waste. It's a waste to do so. So you have to completely convert and become new. It says, "And the bottles perish," because they can't take that new wine. It says, "But they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved." And that's how you ought to be. You have to take this new wine, you have to put it into a new bottle, thus restarting and being as children. You're not converting to be like a child. You're converting to become a new man. You have to keep your eye single on what the prize is, what reality is. And once again, you have to come to the point of realizing what's at hand. And it comes that crossing the road. Because once again, I know this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. As a kid is brought up over time, they are growing up into an adult. That's how it's going to be in this truth. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have hiccups. You're going to have flaws. But we have this doctrine to uphold us and show us how we ought to truly be. But for you to completely take this on and understand how detrimental it is, you have to stop drinking the cup of your enemies, which is that old wine, that old cup. As we started off with, all nations have drunk of that wine. So We have to put that bottle down. Micah 2:10, come out of her. Not come out of her, my people, but arise ye and depart. We departed from that bottle because that's the wine that has us in the condition we in. We were brought up in this world believing we were so-called black people. We thought we were black, our skin is brown. We thought we were African Americans, two countries, two masses of land named after two white people. We never had any identity. Therefore, we were brought up and raised in a way to complete destruction of ourselves. So our furtherance of this is, again, stop drinking the cup of our enemies. We have to stop having children and bringing them up in that cup. The way our captives, people who brought us into slavery, cargo slave ship, and destroyed us want us to be. That's how they chosen us to go. So we have the option to seek reality and to actually build our nation up accordingly. We're going to raise our young up how they ought to, and ourselves as well. We have to take control of our life and currently, our current lives as we have in our hands right now, take control of that once we come back to this doctrine. That's how we do so. But truly following and seeing things through. Take control of this life and lead yourself first and foremost, as always. As the scripture says, you get yourself ready, and then you reprove, get your household straight, and then you can go reprove your people, which is the ultimate point of learning this doctrine. We learn it ultimately first and foremost for yourself, but ultimately to teach, because that's the next step. Once you get yourself together, you go forth to feed the brothers, because that's what this thing is about, the men first and foremost, because the men will go forth from learning and they will teach their household and so on and so forth. It's a perpetual living. It's a perpetual life that we're exalting. We grew up as slaves and thinking we were slaves, but ultimately we're royalty. And ultimately we're the people of the book. We're God's chosen people. So we have a lot to uphold and come back to. So once we, again, get ourselves in order, we go forth to feed our brothers. And we know our brothers are those who know this word and abide in this word. So ultimately, again, as always, talking to the elect, the 1/3 of the Israelite nation who were written to understand this. And we coach them to life and light as well. And that's our ultimate purpose, is to create our nation, to recreate our nation according to how it always was meant to be, as a people who are set above all people on the face of the earth, holy, separate from this place, departed from this place, not drinking the wine of, these low people, the so-called white man who is currently ruling the earth, and preparing ourselves for the kingdom that is to come, which is our kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, being here on earth, that will reign forever and ever. And we will live according to this doctrine, according to the true doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. Shalom.